Making headlines this hour. The President instructs the Special Presidential Commission of Inquiry to release its full report into the fall of a young woman from a building in Male. Vice President outlines the government's strategy to cultivate a skilled Maldivian workforce over the next 5 years. And Dr. Wahid, former president and currently serving as Special Forum in New York.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Minha Maroof. President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu instructs the Special Presidential Commission of Inquiry to release its full report into the fall of a young woman from a building in the capital, Male. The President tasked the Commission with conducting an independent and credible investigation into the incident involving a young person found collapsed on the rooftop of a building in Male on 18th April. The 5-member commission had conducted a thorough investigation by questioning all involved, establishing the facts and reviewing the actions of relevant institutions. The Commission had submitted its report to the President earlier. Shortly after, President Dr. Muizzu said in a post on his X account that he has received the report from the Commission and has instructed to publish it in full. President Dr. Muizzu established the Special Commission after serious public concerns were raised over the police investigation of the incident surrounding the fall of 21-year-old Hawwa Yumnu Rashid, who was found on the rooftop of an adjacent building with serious injuries. She has since been taken to Malaysia for treatment, and the young man, Raudu Ahmad Zilal, who was last seen with her at the same time of the incident, has since been charged with failing to provide assistance to a person in need without reasonable cause, which carries a prison term of 1 year. And Vice President Hussein Muhammad Latif outlines the government's strategy to cultivate a skilled Maldivian workforce over the next 5 years, calling it central to President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu's broader vision for national economic transformation.
He was speaking at the inauguration of a national survey designed to assess the country's human capacity needs held at the Maldives National University or MNU auditorium. The Vice President said the administration maintains its commitment to achieving developed nation status by 2040, a goal he noted depends on the emergence of an educated, capable and industrious citizenry engaged in income-generating sectors. Reaffirming President Muizzu's pledge to eliminate unemployment among Maldivians within the current 5-year term, Vice President Latif pointed to progress already made. Among the steps taken, he elaborated, is the identification of specific job categories to be reserved exclusively for Maldivian nationals. The Vice President's remarks also addressed new avenues of economic development, citing the creation of special economic zones, plans for an international financial center, and the introduction of bunkering and C2 air cargo services. These ventures, he said, have already attracted significant attention. He added that the upcoming opening of the new terminal at Vilhena International Airport or VIA is expected to bring considerable employment opportunities. Closing his address, the Vice President called for collective participation in shaping the country's future. He underscored that sustained national progress relies on the involvement of energetic and skilled citizens and described the pursuit of a resilient, self-sufficient economy as a duty owed to future generations.
Dr. Muhammad Wahid Hassan, former president and currently serving as Special Envoy to President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu, addresses the Maldives Tourism and Investment Forum in New York, United States, outlining the island nation's long-term development trajectory and advancing a compelling case for international investment.
He spoke before an audience of global investors and tourism industry leaders, describing how the Maldives, once constrained by geographic isolation and limited resources, had transformed itself into one of the world's most recognizable travel destinations. Recalling the period following the 2008 global financial crisis, President Wahid noted that international institutions had categorized the Maldives as highly vulnerable to external shocks. That forecast, he observed, had been overturned by the nation's rapid economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, an outcome he credited not to chance but to collective resolve and a focused national vision. That forward momentum, he said, underpins Vision 2040, a development agenda introduced by President Muiz that aspires to position the Maldives among developed nations by its 75th year of independence. The plan, he elaborated, reflects a shift in national strategy, moving away from economic dependence on a single sector and embracing a diversified, resilient, and globally competitive model. Within that framework, President Wahid highlighted structural reforms aimed at modernizing the financial sector. Efforts are underway, he explained, to create the Maldives International Financial Center supported by updated regulatory frameworks. Parallel efforts, he added, include the development of sustainable urban infrastructure and measures to enhance the fisheries sector through export-led growth. He pointed to strong macroeconomic indicators, noting that the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, projects a 5% growth rate for the Maldives this year. Ongoing fiscal reforms, he said, are designed to maintain long-term stability while fostering a transparent and credible investment climate. Anchoring the broader economic strategy, President Wahid noted the administration's commitment to protecting sovereignty, preserving national dignity, and equipping future generations with the means to thrive. These principles, he asserted, form the foundation of one of Asia's most open and competitive investment landscapes. He closed his remarks with an appeal for partnership.
First Lady Sajida Mohammed arrives in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, to participate in the 7th edition of the Merck Foundation First Ladies Initiative MFFLI Summit, where she will serve as the guest of honor. The two-day gathering, set to take place from 18th to 19th June, is expected to bring together First Ladies from across Africa and Asia to address critical challenges at the intersection of public health and social development. At the summit, First Lady Sajida Mohammed is scheduled to deliver remarks at both the inaugural session and a high-level committee meeting. Her participation, according to a statement by the President's office, will focus on a set of pressing concerns, including the stigma associated with infertility, the advancement of girls' education, broader women's empowerment, and the urgent need to strengthen healthcare systems in fields facing acute workforce shortages. Her attendance follows her involvement in the 11th edition of the Merck Foundation Africa-Asia Luminary, held in Tanzania in 2024, where she took part in discussions shaping regional health and equity goals. In recognition of her advocacy and at that event, she was subsequently named as Merck Foundation More Than a Mother Ambassador. According to the President's office, the First Lady has expanded her engagement with the foundation through initiatives designed to build clinical expertise in specialized areas such as infertility and embryology. She has also been at the forefront of national efforts to raise awareness of reproductive health and to address the growing burden of non-communicable diseases, including diabetes and hypertension. The summit, according to the Merck Foundation, is a hybrid annual conference held under the banner Together We Make a Difference. This year's edition will convene First Ladies from 15 countries across Africa and Asia, with an agenda focused on strengthening healthcare systems, challenging the stigma surrounding infertility, promoting educational opportunities for girls, while also advancing media and scientific training and engaging alumni of the Foundation's programs to evaluate the reach and impact of ongoing initiatives. Latest tourism figures show that more than 700 tourism beds have been added for tourism so far this year, making the total number of beds in operation to more than 64,000. According to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, the total number of tourism beds stood at 63,248 at the end of last year. The number has now risen to 64,000, registering an increase of 785 beds so far this year.
The total operational bed capacity of the Maldives includes 44,047 beds in resorts, 14,514 beds in guest houses, 3,162 beds in safaris, and 2,310 beds in hotels. The number of tourist facilities currently in operation stands at 1,203, including 175 resorts, 853 guest houses, 159 safaris, and 16 hotels. The number of tourism beds in the Maldives has increased to coincide with the continued uptick in holidaymakers to the world-renowned destination. Statistics show that 1,043,082 tourists have visited the Maldives so far this year. This is an increase of 9.1% from the 956,360 tourists during the same period last year. According to tourism statistics, more than 700,000 tourists have preferred to stay in resorts so far this year. More than 200,000 stayed in guest houses, while more than 29,000 stayed in hotels. In addition, more than 24,000 tourists have spent their holidays on safari vessels. The world-renowned tourist destination has witnessed the highest number of tourist arrivals in a single year in its 52-year tourism history. According to tourism figures, a total of 2,047,435 tourists have holidayed in the Maldives in 2024. This is a 9% increase from the 1,878,543 tourists from 2023. This marks the first time Maldives has welcomed 2 million tourists to its shores in a calendar year. The government is aiming to better last year's figure by reaching 2.3 million tourist arrivals this year.
Minister of Health Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim says the government is executing development projects wisely while meeting the country's debt obligations. Speaking during a ruling People's National Congress (PNC) rally on Monday evening, Minister Nazim pointed out that when President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu took office in November 2023, the country was at risk of defaulting on its debt of more than $7.8 billion. He said the president immediately began efforts to rebuild the country, executing infrastructure development projects wisely and responsibly, while meeting the country's debt obligations. According to the minister, President Dr. Muizzu quickly identified that real development of the country was not linked to only infrastructure development. He said that the biggest challenges facing the country's healthcare system was not the lack of infrastructure, equipment, or healthcare professionals, but rather the health issues emerging from the often unhealthy lifestyle of people. Understanding that the health system cannot be developed without addressing the underlying issue, the president, according to Minister Nazim, quickly took direct action and formulated policies towards that purpose. Government launches the National Human Capital Needs Assessment report to identify the gaps and skills needed in the labor market. The National Human Capital Needs Assessment Survey report was conducted jointly by the Ministry of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, and the World Bank.
The study aims to identify gaps in the labor market, outline the skills required for various jobs, and highlight the challenges faced by local youth in the workforce. The findings will inform both short-term and long-term strategies aligned with the priorities outlined in the President's manifesto. During a ceremony held at the Maldives National University or MNU Auditorium, the survey report was officially launched by the Vice President Hossein Mohammad Latif. The aim of the survey, which was conducted in 2024, is to identify the gaps between the training programs conducted by training institutions and the skills required by employers, and to develop a roadmap for teaching Maldivians the necessary knowledge and skills. In addition, the findings of this survey aim to establish a labor market information system that collects information on the employment sectors in the ceremony, and to strengthen the efforts being made to facilitate employment opportunities for job seekers through the National Career Service. The findings of this survey align with the government's policy of providing employment to all Maldivians. The survey collected data from 7 economic sectors to formulate employment and labor policies based on complete information. Data collection sectors include tourism, construction, education and health and social services, wholesale and retail businesses, information, communication technology or ICT, agriculture and fisheries, and transportation. The survey focuses on the statistics of workers in these sectors and the training and skills requirements of each sector. It also includes the percentage of domestic and foreign workers, the proportion of women and men in different jobs, and the data for different regions of the country, along with key areas of current need for each sector and the most needed education and skills for jobs that will most likely increase in the future. The survey found that the most important sectors that will see the highest increase in employment opportunities over the next 10 years are tourism, construction, health, and ICT. The study highlights the need to strengthen the relationship between education, training, and labor market needs, along with strengthening vocational education and training programs. Micro-credential programs introduced as modular courses that students can complete one stage at a time, and to strengthen the system where students can build skills at their own pace while fostering a culture of continuous skills development.
Minister of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, Dr. Ali Haider Ahmad announces that the government is set to initiate efforts to develop a roadmap for a skilled workforce to ensure continued economic growth. Speaking at the launch of the National Human Resource Needs Survey, Minister Dr. Haider said the survey is an important step to scientifically identify the efforts being made in Maldives to develop and build human resource capacities for the future. The minister said that the survey has achieved an important goal in the efforts to build a competent and skilled workforce. The survey will also help identify the skills and technical expertise needed for the labor market, he said, adding that based on the findings, a roadmap will be formulated to develop the skills needed for the country's economic future. The minister stressed on the need to train people in a variety of fields to keep up with the ever-changing economic and social landscape. The minister said the government will work together with the relevant agencies to develop education programs to provide meaningful employment opportunities to every youth in the Maldives. U.S. stocks closes higher as oil prices retreated after the Israel-Iran attacks left crude production and exports unaffected, easing investor concerns about the potential for higher energy prices to stoke inflation.
Crude prices settled down more than 1% on hopes a truce was on the horizon between Israel and Iran after days of missile strikes, as Iran called on U.S. President Donald Trump to force a ceasefire in the 4-day-old aerial war, while Israel's prime minister said his country was on the path to victory. Oil prices had surged more than 7% on Friday after Israel began bombing Iran.
It's pretty incredible seeing this rebound after the turmoil that we saw at the end of the week. Our focal point has shifted so much this year, from tariffs to the big, beautiful bill, now to really focusing in on the geopolitical risk. So obviously we saw the market react negatively on Friday after seeing the bombing of Israel and Iran. But there were talks over the weekend, and so hopefully we're thinking that we will be able to get past this in a positive light. So it was nice to see the markets rebound today.
Sources told Reuters that Tehran has asked Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Oman to press Trump to use his influence with Israel to agree to an immediate ceasefire in return for Iran's flexibility in nuclear negotiations. The S&P 500 gained 56.14 points, or 0.94%, to end at 6,033.11 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 294.39 points, or 1.52%, to 19,701.21. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 317.30 points, or 0.75%, to 42,515.09.
Palestinian Saad in Gaza says it is a victorious feeling that they are living the moments that they made us live through for 2 years, about the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. Residents of Gaza Strip watched footage of wrecked buildings and charred vehicles hit by Iranian missiles in Israeli cities. Israel has multi-layered air defenses against attacks by Iran, which has fired hundreds of ballistic missiles and suicide drones at Israel over the past 2 days as the Middle East rivals traded heavy blows. Israel launched its air war with a surprise attack that has killed nearly the entire top echelon of Iran's military commanders and its leading nuclear scientists. It says it now has control of Iranian airspace and intends to escalate the campaign in the coming days. Iranian officials have reported 224 deaths, mostly civilians, while Israel said 24 civilians had been killed. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said nearly 3,000 Israelis had been evacuated due to damage from Iranian strikes. Israel started a genocide in Gaza 20 months ago after Hamas-led militants stormed into southern Israel, taking 251 hostages and killing 1,200 people, most of them civilians, according to Israeli tallies on October 7, 2023. Israel's genocide since has killed nearly 55,000 Palestinians, most of them civilians, according to health authorities in Gaza, and flattened much of the densely populated strip, which is home to more than 2 million people. Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca says it was strange that the Atlanta stadium in which his team played and won was not packed, and that he hoped that the atmosphere would get better in the upcoming FIFA Club World Cup matches. Goals from Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernandez propelled Chelsea to a 2-0 victory over Los Angeles FC on June 16th afternoon in the near-empty Mercedes-Benz Stadium with a maximum capacity of over 70,000. FIFA confirmed the official attendance as 22,137. In the pre-match build-up, some of the focus had been on the sight of several empty parts of the stadium just minutes before the game kicked off at 3 p.m. local time in Atlanta, 1900 GMT. Chelsea struck first in the 34th minute as Neto latched onto a pass from Nicholas Jackson before fooling defender Ryan Hollingshead and finding the back of the net with a strike past goalkeeper Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, the environment. I said, we prepared this game, also thinking that the environment was a bit different, but. No doubt that the next one will be a nice one because we know that Brazilian team, they always bring many fans, so we will try to be ready for the next one.
Los Angeles' Dennis Bouanga had a great chance to even the score in the 57th minute, but the attempt from the left of the box was saved by Robert Sanchez. The 3 points for this Group D match were secured in the 79th minute as Liam Delap sent in a cross to Fernandez, who finished with a left-footed shot past Lloris from a few yards out to put Chelsea 2-0 ahead. Chelsea face Flamengo in Philadelphia on Friday, while LAFC will play ES Tunis later that day in Nashville. Could baby poop and fungi work together to tackle landfill waste? That's the idea behind a new product launched by an Austin, Texas startup that sells disposable diapers paired with fungi intended to break down the plastic. Each of Hero Technologies' micro-digestible diapers comes with a packet of fungi to be added to the dirty diaper before it is thrown in the trash. After a week or two, the fungi is activated by moisture from feces, urine, and the environment to begin the process of biodegradation. Disposable diapers contribute significantly to landfill waste. An estimated 4 million tons of diapers were disposed of in the United States in 2018, with no significant recycling or composting, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Diapers take hundreds of years to naturally break down. The very first disposable diaper ever used is still in a landfill somewhere. To tackle this, Hero Technologies turned to fungi. These organisms, which include mushrooms, molds, yeasts, and mildew, derive nutrients from decomposing, mostly dead organic matter. Hero Technologies co-founder Tero Isokaupila, a Finnish entrepreneur who also founded medicinal mushroom company Four Sigmatic, said there are more than 100 species of fungi known to break down plastics.
Funny enough, for evolutionary purposes, essentially all plastic is made out of fossil fuels. All fossil fuels is dead trees and animals, and many moons ago, fungi evolved to break down trees, especially this hard to break down compound in trees called lignin, which is carbon backbone, is very similar to the carbon backbone of plastics, because essentially they're made out of the same thing. There's currently about 132 known species to break down plastics, and here at HERO we've studied many of them and many that don't have any public research yet, and we've focused on commercializing them, making them shelf stable for specific plastic use cases, and training and evolving them to break down those specific plastics.
The company says it needs to do more research to find out how the product will decompose in real-world conditions in different climates, and hopes to have the data to make a consumer-facing claim by next year. It also plans to experiment with plastic-eating fungi on adult diapers, feminine care products, and other items. In 2011, Yale University researchers discovered a special type of fungus in Ecuador that grows and feeds on polyurethane, a common polymer in plastic products. Scientists say the mushroom Pesta Lotiopsis microspora is capable of surviving and feasting on plastic in environments lacking oxygen, like landfills. And that's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a pleasant day ahead.